Hello, friends. Welcome to my channel United States. We explore the fascinating world of old and rare coins from around the world. In every video, we dive deep into the history, value, and interesting facts about some of the most collectible and valuable coins ever minted. If you love coin collecting or simply enjoy learning about history through coins, you're in the right place. Make sure to watch the video till the end. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel for regular updates on valuable coins you might have in your collection. Person with praying hands, thanks for your support. Let's get started. Person with praying hands. The 1979 United States $1 coin represents one of the most significant yet controversial moments in modern American coinage. Bearing the inscriptions United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, Liberty, and In God We Trust with the date 1979, this coin introduced the first small-sized dollar intended for everyday commerce and vending machine use, replacing the large and cumbersome Eisenhower dollar that had circulated since 1971. Most importantly, the 1979 issue broke tradition by featuring a real woman from American history, Susan B. Anthony, rather than an allegorical liberty figure or a stylized goddess. Anthony, the 19th century suffragist and women's rights leader, became the first non-mythological female to appear on a circulating U.S. coin, a decision that reflected the cultural and political currents of the late 1970s, when the women's movement and demands for greater gender equality had become prominent in American society. The obverse front design of the $1,979 features the left-facing portrait of Susan B. Anthony, executed by U.S. Mint chief engraver Frank Gasparro. Anthony's depiction is deliberate and uncompromising, showing her as a serious, determined woman with strong facial features. Gasparro avoided romanticizing or softening her image. Instead, he conveyed Anthony's reputation as a resolute reformer, someone whose life was defined by struggle, perseverance, and unshakable conviction. Above her portrait is the word liberty, the guiding principle that underpinned her suffrage activism. To the right, along the rim, is the motto In God We Trust, emphasizing the nation's religious and moral identity. Beneath the portrait appears the date 1979, anchoring the coin's historical origin. Surrounding Anthony's portrait is a border of 18 5-point stars, representing the original 13 colonies of the United States, visually linking Anthony's fight for equality to the broader arc of American liberty that began with the Revolution. This starry frame gives the coin a sense of historical continuity and patriotic symbolism, uniting past, present, and future in its design. On the reverse back, the coin carries a design also created by Frank Gasparro, an eagle landing on the moon clutching an olive branch, adapted from the insignia of the Apollo 11 mission. This design had originally appeared on the Eisenhower dollar but was carried forward to the Anthony dollar to preserve continuity and celebrate one of America's greatest achievements, the first lunar landing in 1969. The eagle represents the United States itself, powerful yet peaceful, descending to foreign ground not to conquer but to plant a symbol of peace embodied by the olive branch. The lunar surface is detailed with craters, grounding the scene in reality. The national legend United States of America arches across the top rim, while $1 is boldly inscribed at the bottom to declare the denomination. To the right of the eagle, the phrase E Pluribus Unum, out of many, one, underscores the principle of national unity through diversity. The combination of Anthony on the obverse and the Apollo eagle on the reverse creates a coin that unites social progress with technological triumph. The suffragists who fought for equality and the astronaut who symbolized exploration, both enshrined in one piece of currency. In terms of physical specifications, the 1979 Anthony dollar is composed of a copper-nickel-clad alloy over a pure copper core, the same metallic composition as the quarter and half dollar. It weighs 8.1 grams, measures 26.5 millimeters in diameter, and has a reeded edge. These specifications were chosen to make the coin smaller and lighter than the Eisenhower dollar, which had been criticized for its impractical size. However, the choice of composition and dimensions ultimately doomed the coin's popularity. The Anthony dollar was so close in size, weight, and color to the quarter that people constantly confused the two, leading to frustration in everyday transactions. Vending machines and transit systems that required dollar coins did adopt them, but the general public overwhelmingly rejected the coin, preferring the familiar paper $1 bill. The 1979 issue was struck at multiple U.S. mint facilities: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D mint mark, and San Francisco S mint mark. Philadelphia and Denver produced coins for circulation, while San Francisco struck both circulation pieces and proofs for collectors. Within this first year, there were notable varieties: the wide rim, near date, and narrow rim, far date, varieties in the Philadelphia issues, which arose from differences in die spacing. The wide rim variety, where the rim is thicker and the date sits closer to the edge, is scarcer and more collectible. Proof issues from San Francisco are also distinguished by their finish, with some designated as cameo or deep cameo depending on the contrast between frosted devices and mirrored fields. From a historical perspective, the 1979 Antony dollar is a bold attempt at currency reform that reflects both the aspirations and limitations of its era. On one hand, the decision to honor Susan B. Anthony symbolized a step forward in gender representation, recognizing her as a national hero whose efforts helped secure women the right to vote with the 19th Amendment in 1920. On the other hand, the coin's practical failure underscored the challenges of introducing a new denomination into a market where the paper dollar was deeply ingrained and widely preferred. Even though the Antony dollar was intended to save money by reducing the government's reliance on short-lived paper notes, public resistance made it an object of ridicule and rejection. Culturally, the coin reflects a confluence of American ideals. Antony's portrait speaks to liberty, equality, and justice, values central to both the suffrage movement and the nation itself. The eagle on the moon speaks to exploration, progress, and peaceful strength, values tied to America's technological achievements and its role on the world stage. The inscriptions further root the coin in national tradition. Liberty declares the core principle of American democracy. In God we trust affirms national faith and identity, and E pluribus unum reaffirms unity and diversity. Altogether, the coin becomes more than just a dollar. It becomes a condensed statement of American values, struggles, and accomplishments. From a numismatic standpoint, the 1979 Antony dollar is an essential piece of collectors, both because it is a first year of issue and because of its varieties. While most circulation strikes are common and valued close to face value, high-grade uncirculated examples, wide rim varieties, and proof issues from San Francisco can carry premiums. Collectors also appreciate the coin for its historical role as a first small dollar and as a trailblazer in featuring a real historical woman. The 1980 United States $1 coin is part of the short-lived Susan B. Anthony dollar series, which the U.S. Mint introduced in 1979 as the first small-sized dollar coin in American history. It carries the inscriptions United States of America, E pluribus unum, liberty, and in God we trust, along with the date 1980. This coin was designed to modernize American currency by replacing the bulky Eisenhower dollar with something smaller, lighter, and more convenient for everyday use, particularly in vending machines and public transit systems. Unfortunately, the series struggled to gain public acceptance, largely because the coin's copper-nickel-clad composition and 26.5 millimeters diameter made it nearly indistinguishable from a quarter in size, color, and feel. By 1980, the second year of its issue, the Antony dollar was already facing widespread criticism, yet it still stands as a bold attempt at innovation in U.S. numismatic history. On the obverse front of the coin is a portrait of Susan B. Anthony, designed by chief engraver Frank Gasparro. Anthony was a pioneering 19th-century social reformer and one of the most prominent leaders of the American women's suffrage movement, dedicating her life to campaigning for equal rights and voting rights for women. Her portrait is stark, realistic, and uncompromising. Gasparro depicted her with a strong jawline, determined eyes, and hair pulled back tightly, symbolizing her resilience and moral conviction. This was a radical departure from the more romanticized or idealized female figures, such as Lady Liberty or allegorical goddesses, that traditionally graced American coins. Surrounding her portrait are 13 5-point stars, a symbolic nod to the original 13 colonies, tying the suffragist legacy to the very foundation of the United States. Above her head is the word liberty, an American motto that resonates with both the nation's founding principles and Antony's personal cause. To the right is the inscription In God We Trust, formally adopted onto U.S. coins in the mid-20th century but echoing national identity and faith. Below the portrait is the date 1980, anchoring the coin in its historical context. The reverse back of the coin presents another deeply symbolic image, an eagle landing on the moon, clutching an olive branch, based on the Apollo 11 mission insignia. This design, also by Frank Gasparro, had first appeared in the Eisenhower dollar but was carried over to the Antony dollar to honor the triumph of America's space program. The eagle, a long-standing emblem of strength and freedom, is depicted in descent, wings spread, talons grasping the olive branch of peace as it touches the lunar surface. This image conveys the duality of American power, technological might, and a desire for peace. Above the eagle's wings arcs the inscription United States of America, while below, the denomination $1 is spelled out. To the right of the eagle is the enduring motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, a Latin phrase that has appeared on U.S. coinage since the 18th century, symbolizing national unity forged from diversity. Around the eagle are additional stars, connecting the reverse to the obverse colonial symbolism. The lunar craters beneath the eagle provide grounding in historical reality, as this design directly ties to the nation's 1969 moon landing, a technological and cultural triumph that defined American pride in the late 20th century. The 1980 Susan B. Anthony dollar was minted at 3 different facilities: Philadelphia, P mint mark, Denver, D mint mark, and San Francisco, S mint mark. The Philadelphia and Denver issues were intended for general circulation, while the San Francisco Mint produced both business strikes and proof coins for collectors. In terms of specifications, the coin is composed of a copper-nickel-clad alloy over a pure copper core, weighs 8.1 grams, measures 26.5 millimeters in diameter, and has a reeded edge. The choice of composition mirrored that of the quarter, which added to the confusion and public rejection of the coin. Still, its smaller size made it technically more practical than the Eisenhower dollar, which was large and heavy. Historically, the 1980 issue represents the second full year of the series. The mint struck large numbers of the coin, anticipating widespread use in daily commerce and vending systems, but circulation remained limited. Many banks and businesses accepted the coins reluctantly, and the general public often mistook them for quarters, leading to frustration. As a result, millions of 1980 Anthony dollars sat unused in Treasury vaults, waiting to be reintroduced in later years. This year's mintage is still high compared to later issues, and while the coin was common at the time, today it is valued as part of a complete Susan B. Anthony set, particularly in uncirculated or proof condition. The symbolism and cultural meaning of the 1980 Anthony dollar extend beyond its troubled circulation history. The very presence of Susan B. Anthony on a coin marked a historic breakthrough. She was the first non-mythological woman depicted on a circulating U.S. coin, and her portrait represented both a recognition of women's contributions to American democracy and the struggle for equality. Combined with the eagle and lunar imagery on the reverse, the coin blends narratives of social progress, women's rights, with national achievement, the space race, and peaceful strength. Its inscriptions reinforce traditional American values. Liberty represents freedom and justice. In God we trust anchors a nation's moral identity, and E pluribus unum highlights unity amid diversity. Together, these elements create a powerful message, even if the coin itself struggled in practical use. From a numismatic perspective, the 1980 Anthony dollar is generally affordable, especially in circulated grades, often worth close to face value. However, uncirculated specimens graded MS-65 and above, or proof coins with strong cameo contrast from San Francisco, can fetch higher premiums among collectors. Error coins, such as off-center strikes, double dies, or planchet anomalies, are especially prized. For type collectors, the 1980 issue represents an important piece of the short Anthony series, which ran from 1979 to 1981, with a final revival in 1999 before being replaced by the Sacagawea Golden Dollar in 2000. In the broader scope of American coinage, the 1981 dollar coin is a fascinating case study in the challenges of currency reform. It highlights how practical considerations, such as size, color, and public preference, can determine the success or failure of a coin. It also demonstrates how numismatic art can embody deep national values and narratives, even when the coin itself is unpopular. Today, the 1980 Anthony dollar is less remembered for its role in everyday commerce and more appreciated as a symbolic artifact of late 20th century America, a coin that honored a woman reformer, celebrated space exploration, and sought to modernize U.S. currency, yet ultimately became a lesson in the complexities of public acceptance. Thus, the 1980 United States $1 coin, inscribed with United States of America, E pluribus unum, liberty, and In God We Trust, is not just a piece of copper nickel. The 1999 United States $1 coin belongs to a unique transitional moment in American numismatic history, as it sits at the intersection between the old and the new, bridging the venerable Eisenhower and Susan B. Anthony dollars of the 1970s, 1990s with a newly planned Sacagawea dollar introduced in 2000. By 1999, the dollar coin had already faced decades of difficulty in circulation, often overshadowed by the convenience and dominance of the paper $1 Federal Reserve note, which the American public strongly preferred. The coin in question, bearing the inscriptions United States of America, E pluribus unum, liberty, and In God We Trust with the date 1999, is a Susan B. Anthony dollar, a short-lived coin first struck in 1979 to honor the famed women's suffrage leader. The U.S. Mint only struck these coins in 1979, 1980, 1981, and then briefly revived them in 1999 due to an unexpected demand for dollar coins in vending machines, transportation systems, and government stockpiles before the launch of a new golden-colored Sacagawea series in 2000. On the obverse front of the $1,999 coin is a left-facing portrait of Susan B. Anthony, designed by Chief Engraver Frank Gasparro. Anthony, born in 1820, was a central figure in the 19th century movement for women's rights, particularly the fight for suffrage. Her inclusion on the dollar was groundbreaking, as she became the first historical woman ever depicted on a circulating U.S. coin. The word liberty arcs across the top, a traditional motto echoing America's founding values. To the right of Anthony's portrait appears the inscription, In God We Trust, a religious motto adopted officially in the mid-20th century but deeply tied to Cold War identity, emphasizing American faith and unity in contrast to communist ideologies. The year 1999 is positioned below, marking the coin's issue date. Around the edge, a border of 13 small 5-point stars symbolizes the original colonies and America's enduring unity, a visual echo of the 13-star arrangement found on the Great Seal of the United States. The reverse back of the coin carries another powerful piece of American iconography, an eagle landing on the moon, clutching an olive branch in its talons, based on the Apollo 11 mission insignia. This was also designed by Frank Gasparro, originally for the Eisenhower dollar, and carried forward to the Anthony dollar as a tribute to American exploration, technological achievement, and peaceful aspirations. Above the eagle's wings reads the national legend United States of America, while below is the denomination spelled out, $1. To the right of the eagle is the Latin motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, a phrase long associated with the American ideal of forging a single nation from diverse states and peoples. The lunar surface beneath the eagle subtly shows craters, grounding the design in its Apollo inspiration. This choice was significant. It tied the coin not only to America's space achievements, but also to a narrative of progress, modernity, and peaceful strength. The 1999 Anthony dollar was struck in two main facilities, Philadelphia, P. Mint Mark, and Denver, D. Mint Mark, with additional proof versions struck at San Francisco, S. Mint Mark, for collectors. Its composition is a copper-nickel clad, measuring 26.5 millimeters in diameter, 8.1 grams in weight, and with a reeded edge. The coin was often criticized for being too similar in size, weight, and color to the quarter dollar, leading to confusion in circulation, a major reason the series struggled with public acceptance. This issue persisted into the 1999 re-release, as most Americans prefer the convenience of paper dollars and were hesitant to adapt to coins. In terms of historical significance, the $1,999 represents the last appearance of the Susan B. Anthony design, closing out a 20-year chapter in American coinage. It was never intended as a long-term revival, but as a stopgap solution until the Sacagawea golden dollar was ready. Collectors today recognize it as an important transitional piece, marking the end of the 20th century and the dawn of a new millennium in U.S. numismatics. Because relatively few were struck compared to the late 1970s issues, the 1999 coins are scarcer in circulation and often found in better condition, making them more attractive to collectors. Mintages were around 29 million in total, far below earlier Susan B. Anthony runs. The coin carries multiple layers of symbolism. The presence of Susan B. Anthony highlights America's progress toward gender equality, immortalizing a woman who never lived to see the 19th Amendment but whose tireless efforts laid its foundation. The eagle on the moon connects to the pinnacle of 20th century American achievement, the Apollo 11 landing, representing courage, exploration, and peaceful aspirations. The inscriptions, Liberty, In God We Trust, and E Pluribus Unum, bind the coin to American tradition, founding principles, and national unity. Together, they form a miniature canvas of American identity, liberty, faith, unity, equality, and achievement, compressed into the space of a single coin. For collectors, 1999 Anthony dollars are generally affordable but highly desirable as type coins and for their historical placement. Circulated examples often trade near face value, while uncirculated and proof versions, particularly in high mint state, MS, or proof, PR, grades, command higher premiums. Certain varieties, such as striking errors, off-center mintings, or high-grade deep cameo proof from San Francisco, can be especially sought after. Numismatists also note the cultural irony that the Anthony dollar, initially unpopular, has become a nostalgic collector's favorite precisely because of its rarity, symbolism, and short production span. Thus, the 1999 United States $1 coin encapsulates a rich blend of American ideals, technological milestones, and numismatic transitions. It stands as a last chapter in the Susan B. Anthony series, a bridge into the 21st century, and a reminder of both the struggles and triumphs of introducing dollar coinage into U.S. commerce. More than just a piece of metal, it is a historical artifact carrying the weight of liberty, unity, faith, equality, and exploration, all compactly inscribed with the eternal phrases, United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, Liberty, and In God We Trust.